Hello and welcome to Sovereign RPG. Today we're going to go through a Q&A that was given to me by my community in the Discord for the launch of the final test. So I asked them if they had any questions for me after the localization testing had been done. So they put all these questions into my Discord and I'm going to go through them in no particular order. Remember to like and sub if you haven't already, and let's get into the questions. So the first question from Dagra. Is there 5 levels of standings, blue, light blue, grey, orange and red, or just 3 levels? Currently in the game you only have the good, the bad and the ugly, being good standing, bad standing and neutral. Another question from Dagra, have they included scramblers or is it just disruptors? Still, there are scramblers in the game now. Question from Lord Apollo. Will corpses be implemented in game as an item that can be picked up after a player is podded, and will this item be tradable? This I do not know yet. I believe that the corpses are not in the game currently, but they will be added in the future. They were already in the beta originally. They were taken out because there was an issue with them being able to be picked up, but they just haven't had the time to fix that yet, I guess. And a question from Valkorian. He's asked me to tell you everything we don't know, so if you want to check the card above, I've given a video there describing everything changed from open beta to the final test. I've been asked to give some clarity on Omega counts. Are we correct in assuming if an account can have 2 Omegas paid for on it, and then you can train any 2 clones on that account even if one is an alpha clone? Or does Omega status apply to specific clones? It's a bit confusing. Yes, it was a bit confusing, and it actually took me and Nina quite a few questions and quite a few times of questioning Exile to actually find out what exactly it was. And yes, it goes for each individual character, so you can only train them if they individually have Omega. Question from Lord Apollo. Will ice mining be implemented in the beta or launch? Ice mining will not be implemented because the fuel that you'd gain from ice is actually in PI. Question from Ranger. Will faction warfare be implemented? Not at this current time, I'm afraid. It may be in the future, but I don't believe they have it in the books just yet. Another question from Ranger. Is there going to be standings? There'll be no NPC standings at the current game. It may be added later in the future. Question from PD. Is there personal outposts in beta? Yes, there is personal outposts. They're the only one that are currently in there. It takes 600 million ISK to build the actual station and 32 times 20 million ISK to build them, and they are roughly 32 parts, which equal about a faction battleship per part for PI materials. Question from Astromeat. Where do babies come from? Storks. Have you never seen Dumbo? Another question from PD. If personal outposts are a thing, what are the requirements to build them? And I've just given that in the first question, mate. And another one from PD. Can personal outposts be anchored in high or low sec? They can be anchored in low sec and null sec, not in high sec, and they can be blown up. Will there be war decks at launch? And are warring corps able to fight in high sec? That's a question from Booker T, and no, there will not be war decks anytime in the future, definitely not in high sec. Question from Dark Array. What's up, friends? Not too bad. Just going through a list of questions from my lovely community. I want to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity to answer them for you. Question from Dimiars666. How bounty for killing rats is going to be shared by fleet members? At the current stage, there is no shared fleet bounties. They are actually adding it to the top of the list of things to be implemented. As it is, as I literally, after the localization test and I realized that it wasn't there, I went straight to Exile and I complained and complained and complained. And it's something that I feel very strongly should be in the game. Question from Substrator618. Is Eve Echoes going to be free to play with microtransactions as an indefinite option? Or B, 3-month free trial, then paywall? Or C, limited access with alpha but still indefinite free playing, albeit at a disadvantage versus punching the paywall granting full access to Omega piloting? I am emotionally invested in this game, but worst comes to worst, I'll find a way to cope. I love space. I love flying in space even more. Thanks, Sovereign. 0707070707. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's pretty much C. You're going to have limited access with alpha, but you can get through everything just by paying the $5 Omega. And another question from Dark Ray. Do rats jump into high-sec asteroid belts at random and attack miners? They will do, yes. Question from JVP. What has changed since no longer available from the early beta? I have a video that I will leave a card in the top now for the answer to this. There's way too much to go through in this Q&A, I'm afraid. Question from Ranger. Will there be D-scans? No, there will not be D-scans, and if there are D-scans, they will be implemented in a different way. Question from DG Rage Riot, a fellow community content creator. For those of us who didn't make the first cut into Sovereign, how will we be able to contribute to the community in game? So I've actually invited DJ Rage Riot. I've actually known him for a little while and he's a pretty decent guy, so we got him into Sovereign. No worries, we didn't leave him out on the bench. If you wanted to contribute to the community and just join the Discord, be part of the community, go into local chat scams and speak away. It's the best way to get everyone talking to each other. Question from Mergen. What out-of-game tools, kill boards, market sites, etc. will be available for EE, if any? Currently there is no API, so there will be no third-party tools until they do that. Actually, Muffet is working on a fitting tool and a sort of general wiki, give you the stats of the items and ships, etc, etc tool. It's got a lot more functions, but I'm going to wait for him to actually release the full version before we go into that. You also have ZGod working on a spreadsheet wiki as well. I followed my boyfriend here and I'm completely clueless and a bit overwhelmed. Some first step advice. I'm an Apple phone user and I have a Chromebook for now due to losing my desktop to a graphics card failure. Getting a comp laptop in the future, but how can I participate now? Well, first you need to get rid of the Apple and jump straight. No, I'm just joking. I actually bought a Mac recently, so I can't even complain about Apple users anymore. And that was all thank you to my patrons. Thank you very much. First step advice, get talking. Go into the Discord, start speaking to everyone, ask any questions you need. There are more than many people that will be able to answer your questions for you, and they're very good at doing so. We have some very well-informed, knowledgeable players. And a question from Lemwhip. Final question. Do you know if there will be any consequences for using emulators to play EE? There will be no consequences. The devs have basically said that they can't. It's too much work to block emulators, so they're not going to support them. Now, this doesn't mean that they won't try to fix a major issue if there is one, but they will not have it as a priority. So you're free to use emulators as much as you want. And that's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for the community for asking all the questions and for giving me the opportunity to answer them for you. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like and sub if you haven't already. Join the Discord for the next time we do Q&A sessions where I can answer your personal questions. Fly safe and avoid local chat scams.